Hello everyone, and welcome back to r/Entitled Parents, where you can find the most pleasant people that all think the world owes them something. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. We've got 3 stories today. In the first one, a grown woman has a fit when she's told not to jump at a kid's jump place. The second one, which is the one that you're all here for, is about Karen yelling at someone for having a seizure at work. And in the last one, an entitled parent accuses an autistic kid of not being autistic. And before we jump in, I want you guys to check out this video real quick. This Karen tried to tell this guy what he can and can't do on his own yard, and this is how he responds.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Go home, girl.
Oh my god.
You're gonna lose that battle.
Okay, now I think maybe we should call somebody. You think?
Yeah.
Please get off my property.
Is it 911?
I will defend myself on my property. Get off my property.
Yeah. How coming on?
Do you want me to call?
Alright, let's get into these stories. This one's called, "You're an effing Nazi, man." So I work at a kid's jump place, so it's pretty obvious that I've run into a few Karens or entitled parents here or there, but today's experience was one I felt deserved to be shared. Some of our jumps don't allow parents to go on, specifically the bigger jumps, since a parent could accidentally hit a younger child. This is a constant issue at my workplace. I have to tell so many parents that adults aren't allowed on the jump. Most of the time, they understand and don't do it again. Sometimes they're inquisitive or annoyed, but I've never been insulted or thrown any flack. They just think the rule is dumb. As I was walking up to the mother who was the topic of this post, she instantly was pretty hostile. "You're not gonna come tell me to get down, are you?" I respond, "I'm sorry, miss, but adults can't go on this jump." "Really? You're an effing Nazi, man." So I was so taken aback by this, since I normally only hear this type of talk online. The thing is, I'm actually Jewish, and my great-grandparents were alive and survived the Holocaust. But I decided to hold my tongue since she's obviously a toxic individual. Then she tried to guilt me. She then says to her kid, "Come on, insert kid's name. I'm not the one making you cry, that guy is." He wasn't crying, he was silent as a mouse. This would have been the end of it if she wasn't less mature than a 19-year-old employee. She thankfully didn't try to get on again, but decided to be a grown baby. As I walked the floor, every time I walked by, she made comments. "Look out for him, kids. He's a commie." And, "Sorry we can't have fun anymore, kids. He's to blame," were some of the ones I could hear over the commotion. I decided to ignore her, but it really pisses me off to think she's teaching her kids to be a baby when things don't go their way, and to treat employees like they aren't humans. A grown mother, more childish than a student employee out there. The rest of the workday, I knew I had to share this to the sub. This is a child in a grown adult's body. I seriously wonder how kids with parents like these can grow up and learn how to be mature when their own parents still have the temperament of a 12-year-old. One can only hope that it's one of those cases of kids growing up and thinking, "At least my parents taught me how not to act." This one's called, "Entitled Woman Shouts at Me After Having a Seizure at Work." Backstory. I've always been a medical disaster from the day I was born, literally with heart problems and severely underweight up to today, when I'm blind in one eye, have a speaking disability, and have recently been told that I have a high chance of being diagnosed with epilepsy from a severe head injury I had 4 years ago. I was referred to a specialist a few weeks ago, but he didn't do anything, so currently working my way through the medical system to get it properly looked at, but I haven't shown any signs or symptoms until recently in the form of partial seizures, which causes me to lose my balance, become extremely dizzy, feel very scared, see flashing lights, spasms in my leg, and doesn't allow me to respond to events happening around me properly. Chapter 1. The Meeting. So this took place at work not long after I had been told that there's a high chance I have epilepsy. I told one of my coworkers as a safeguard just in case, but hadn't told any of the managers, as I didn't want it to put my job in jeopardy, and I didn't feel comfortable with them knowing at the time. My coworker and I were working, and she was checking up on me every hour or so to make sure I was alright, and I was trying to stay in a good mood. After about 2:30 p.m., when the lunch rush had finished, work had quieted down and we had a small stream of customers come in, including our entitled mom, who we'll name Karen, as per usual. She came in with her husband and her 2 kids, a boy and a girl, who were lovely people. As they enter, I greet them and they go to order their food at the counter. No biggie. They get it and sit down and all is good. Chapter 2. The Incident. Not long after they had sat down, Karen points at me from across the restaurant, trying to flag me down and wave me over. I comply and go over to attend to them, asking what the problem is. Karen then goes on to say that she's missing several things from her order. As she's doing this, I get a feeling that something isn't right, and a couple seconds later, I realize that I'm about to have a seizure. I tell her I'll sort out the issue and quickly walk into the back to make sure no one sees. Once I get to the back, the symptoms kick in, and as I predicted, I had a seizure. It was about 2 or 3 minutes with a minute of recovery, and giving myself time to readjust and get myself straight before walking back out to do my job. As soon as I walk back out, Karen comes stomping up to me, red-faced. "Where the hell have you been? Where is our food?" etc., etc., with a few insults thrown in for good measure. I apologized and told her that I have some medical business to sort out. "Well, it isn't more important than the customer," she replied with a typical Karen tone. I, of course, was not in the mood to put up with this woman and take her receipt to the counter without saying a word, and after I look at it, I realized that all the food was handed to her and nothing was actually missing. I walk back over and explain that nothing was missing, but she cuts in. "First, you skive for 10 minutes, then you lie to a customer, and now you tell me that I'm wrong? Worst customer service ever." I respond, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I told you that I had some medical problems to sort out urgently." She then calls me a B-word right in front of her kids and says, "You're probably just lazy and too stupid for a real job." At this point, her husband cuts in and says, "Karen, leave the man alone. If he says he had something medical to sort, then it's an urgent thing." He then turned to me and said, "I'm so sorry. May I ask as to what the medical problem was, if it's not too much?" Seeing the opportunity, I reply, "I was having a seizure." The husband then looks at me in surprise, and Karen's face has gone completely red. He's lying. If you did, you'd be in an ambulance," said Karen. I reply, "No, ma'am, there are different types of seizures, and the one I have lasts about 3 minutes and aren't as serious as a fit, so I can get back to work straight after." Husband says, "I'm very sorry to hear that. I hope it gets better for you, and I'm sorry for all the trouble caused." "Thank you, sir. Enjoy your meal," I said. I then walked away, Karen being talked to by her husband, who was pretty angry at her. Chapter 3, The Aftermath. About 20 minutes later, they were getting up to leave, making sure to clean up any mess that they had left, which was nice, and the husband came over to me while the Karen got the kids ready. Husband says, "I'm very sorry about that. She's like that sometimes. I really hope things get better for you, as again, I'm sorry." I told him that it's perfectly fine and he isn't the one who should be apologizing, but trying to get a Karen to say sorry is like trying to get blood from a stone. They left, with Karen hanging her head in shame after what I can only imagine were some words from her husband. I just hope that she learns her lesson and she treats more people with respect from now on. Thank you for reading. The classic case of a hot-headed Karen with a level-headed spouse that has to clean up after her messes all the time. You can tell that he's been through this before. This is likely just a reality for him, and he probably just thinks, "I love you, even though you're a Karen." I guess that's what love is for, people making up for your weaknesses. In this case, being a half-decent human being that doesn't get mad at people for having seizures. The story's called She's Too Pretty to Be Autistic, a story coming from my mother. Context. This takes place when I was 3 years old, so all of the information being told is coming from my mother, as a baby like me back then couldn't remember other people's crap. On to the story. When I was around 2, my parents found out I had autism and ADHD when I went to a doctor's visit. Like the loving parents they were, they still loved me for the beautiful mess I was. However, the 2000s weren't exactly the best for someone having a mental disability. Ableists were running amok, as I put it, and Karens were the most frequent as ever. Mama was walking with me in a stroller at a park near my old house, which was a townhouse. I was munching down on some goldfish crackers. This will be important later, when a woman approached my mother. This woman will be referred to as Woof. Woof says, "Aw, what a cute little tot." She looks up to my mother. "What's her name?" Mom responds, "OP, she's my sweet little angel." She looks down to me. "Right, OP?" I hold up a goldfish cracker and say, "Fishy." My mom cracks a smile as I giggle, but one way or another, something touched me. It could have been a bug or the leather of the stroller, but my little mind began to panic. I started to stim, which back then was me tugging or grooming my hair. Woof notices this and gasps. "What's going on with her?" she says. My mom pauses and then notices what's going on. She bends down to my level and strokes my scalp, which calmed me down immediately. I then happily go back to eating my crackers. However, it seemed like Woof hadn't got her answer yet. Woof looks up to my mother with a worried look on her face. Is she okay? Why was she tugging at her hair? Oh, she was just stimming. It happens when she feels uncomfortable or upset. Woof is confused about what my mother said, but then it clicks for her. Woof's face looks grim as she says, "Oh, I see. She has autism. I'm so sorry." My mom is confused as well, but more importantly, she's a tad ticked off. Mom says, I only recently found out, about a year ago. She was diagnosed at a local doctor's office by such and such doctor. Woof's face turns from pity to disbelief when my mom said that. Woof says, that doctor doesn't have any medical experience. I brought my daughter to him telling him about her broken leg from falling off of her scooter, and he just said it was a scrape. You shouldn't be taking anything from him. Mom pauses and says, I've seen that doctor before, and he's the best doctor I've visited yet. He's the only one willing to see OP. Not many doctors around here are open to those with autism. But she doesn't have autism, Woof responds. My mother grips onto the stroller handles, wondering how this lady thinks she's the professional doctor around here. What was that? My mom asked. Your daughter does not have autism. She looks nothing like someone with autism. Plus, autistic people can't talk, yet she can. That doctor probably told you she had autism just to mess with you. Mom grips the handles harder and asks, what are you implying? You don't get what I'm saying? I'm saying OP is too pretty to have autism. And there's another thing I can show you that she doesn't have autism. She kneels down to my level and asks, what is 1 + 1? I respond, 2. Woof stands back up and says, see, she can't have autism. Most autistic people are retarded. My mom is physically shaking at this point. However, before she could retaliate against all the BS Woof said, I spoke up and said, mean shark. Woof looks down to me and says, what? So I say, mean shark, eat salt. I then proceed to throw goldfish crackers at this lady. The woman is either disgusted or annoyed as she glares my mother in the eye as she tries to stop me from throwing my snack. Woof says, how could you raise your child like that? What little girl throws food at adults? And I say, because the dinosaurs died. Woof, now confused again, asks, what? And I go on, but one lives, it eats salt. The woman is enraged by my answer, but she only stomps away. After all, she wouldn't want a bad reputation for punching a toddler, would she? Finally, my mom says something to her as she's stalking off. Never, and I mean never, assume someone is too pretty to have autism. End of story. For whatever reason, I find this really amusing. I don't know what was actually going through 3-year-old OP's head in this situation, but the way I see it is it seems like OP kind of saw the ridiculousness of this woman and was just trying to kind of mock her. It's like OP at the young age of 3 years old already had a fully functioning Karen detector and knew exactly how to respond to them. And this was our /entitled parents. If you enjoyed, the best way you can show your support is by dropping a like and subscribing if you haven't yet. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next one.